Mix it on the beat. All right, let me know. Are we live, Izar? Okay, good. Um, got you. Shalom, Israel. Kwam Yasharallah. What's going on? Tonight is Thursday, and we have a little bit of some current events to do with you. I'm gonna be your primary visual speaker, AHMAN, and in the back, when he wants to announce himself, we have IZAR Allah, and we're gonna get into some current events that are happening in the world right now, just a little bit of them, and we're just gonna explain their significance as far as how they relate to the scriptures, how they relate to prophecy, and how they relate to how Yahushua and the apostles said that people would be operating in these times, in these last days, in these last times right now. So, right now, we can get to, so we can switch. I'm not sure if everyone has been aware, to start just on a light note, the a TikTok challenge that's been going on. Things that people have been using social media for, as well as, other ones like Facebook and Instagram. But there's a TikTok challenge, another one. They have many challenges going on these days called the Milk Crate Challenge. And what's going on is people are pretty much stacking up milk crates wherever they are, whether it be 10 tribers down in Mexico by the border, or Southern Kingdom in Georgia or Los Angeles. It don't matter. It's mainly Israel the one doing this, and what they're doing is pretty much jumping up and walking up these pyramid crates. Now, what is the reason for this? I mean, who can say but the scriptures? And there is a scripture I want to get out real quick in the book of 2 Timothy in chapter 3. And Izar, whenever you're ready, you can switch to the article. But I'm going to prep up with this scripture in 2 Timothy real quick. Right. All right, so you guys can see, hopefully, what we're looking at right here. And it says, TikTok Milk Crate Challenge, why people are taking scary falls on social media. So that's part of the issue, what we have here. And I'm going to read some bits and pits. And I like this beginning intro. It says, every now and then, the internet opens a portal on a weird new trend. Enter the Milk Crate Challenge. You can find a growing collection of videos on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and the like of people stacking milk crates, trying to climb them up like staircases, and taking terrible falls because, believe it or not, piles of milk crates are not structurally sound. Who doesn't know that already, though? Like, these are things that our people, for sure, should have been knowing since kids. And you could just kind of, when you have that adult understanding and common sense, you could just tell when something on the nature is this going to support, my body weight and such like that. But people are doing this because, let me read you 2 Timothy real quick. Chapter 3, it says, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of them own selves, covetous, boasters, proud. I want to definitely highlight those two aspects of that. The aspect of being a boaster, which is why this is such a big thing on social media, because for the most part, social media is utilized and used for, putting yourself out there, but to an imbalanced degree of, being an all about you. People are boasting about pretty much anything. And now it's a collective thing with many other countless challenges that have happened before, whether it be the whole eating Tide Pods, which is chlorine and soap, which has killed people, drinking bunches of gallons of water, which is proven to kill people if you consume too much water. It's a whole bunch of other stuff. People are just kind of flirting or dancing with danger and stuff like that, which in some cases will be injury, major injury, and the others death. So people are boasting pretty much themselves over, danger, and that's an aspect of being proud. Instead of taking a wise stance of, I'm not going to do this, people are being foolish. People would much rather be foolish today instead of proud, which is why this is a huge trend. This is like something that is trending going on right now. People are, let's take a look at this just for what they say, S and giggles. We see this guy right here climbing. I'm surprised he's not jumping. And, this is the thing to do, It's not anything, it's not an isolated incident. This is what people are on right now. This is the connectivity of the world. So people are boasting against each other about who can do this, who could do this better and such like that, that aspect of competition. But for something that's really like, it's pointless, there's no huge point for this to go outside of, a small circle of friends, but it's that aspect of men becoming lovers of themselves, boasting and proud that you want to show off. And look at that, that guy just fell. And I've been hearing there's some worse ones. There's been some worse ones where people have been getting seriously injured, and probably thrown in the mix there's some death. Another thing about this too, back in 2 Timothy chapter 3, I'm going to read verse 3, it says, without natural affection. So part of the reason why something like this gets so viral is because people already know all these trends have a common relation of relatability. It's that flirting with danger, That's the main thing. You don't see there's no, TikTok trends of, globally, read the Bible. The Israelites are the true, so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans are the true Israelites. All Gentiles, heathens should bow down. There's not a trend of that going down. The trend is basically stuff that's is dumb, pointless, and could possibly hurt you, And that's not real. That's not natural affection. People are watching these things expecting and halfway knowing people are going to get hurt. That's really the underlying thing that makes these videos so popular, is because you want to see somebody fail and hurt themselves. The goal really isn't the goal is not to see somebody win this challenge. Probably there's a few people that can do that, but the real thing is, that these are unstable milk crates. People are gonna fall and eat and all that, and you just want to, you want to laugh at someone else. You want to laugh at somebody else's plight. That's the real thing, without natural affection. So that's prophecy. That's prophecy of one of the many things that is going down, and this is happening in communities, Israelite communities in the hood, abroad, Black, Latino, Native American communities. So you see, that's the people's trend right now. That's the common people's thing of what we're doing right now. There's no need to really watch another one. You see, most of these, it's Israelites. And they're showing Southern Kingdom, but I know for sure. It's been a lot of Northern Kingdom doing the same thing too, blacks and Latinos, because we're the same people. We drawn to the same good and bad old things. So that's going on in the world right now, y'all. So you don't really, it's not necessarily a sin that you're partaking in, but it just kind of just shows you this, amongst other things, social media trends and stuff like that, is just showing the spirit that people have upon themselves, at these last days, that aspect of the degrees and aspects of men shall be lovers of their own selves, like that, proud, boasting, no natural affection. So that's what's going on. You can switch the camera back to me briefly, IZAR. We're probably going to go back real quick too on another one. So that's one thing that's going on right here. Another one, let me zoom out that. Let's see. All right. So getting progressively, more expanding from your community stuff to other things abroad, we see, as soon as I can get this out of here, I'm not trying to subscribe to. All right, well, this article, it says Biden vows retribution to U.S. Members that were killed in Afghanistan and Kabul. So actually, the crazy thing is today what happened was in Afghanistan, the terrorist group known as ISIS or Islamic State, they have begun bombing some of their own people, those ones mainly that be associated with America and such like that. Islamic State in Afghanistan, they've actually begun doing that. You see there was a viral image happening a while back, and I'll pull that up for you guys right now too, of an airplane, Afghanistan airplane that was leaving an airstrip, and a bunch of native or local people in Afghanistan were clinging onto this airplane, not even inside, hoping to still, make the plane stop. And that plane did not stop. That airplane actually took those people, and they fell. They fell into on the floor and such like that. So it's just showing you again that love of people is definitely failing upon the earth. But again, with the whole with the Taliban and everything, not the Taliban, Islamic State. Let me get some scriptures right now in Matthew 24 about what it says about these terrorist groups that have been coming up against America since, as far as some of us that were born in 1990, and and some of our elder jakes too. But a lot of people in my generation, we grew up with 9/11, understanding that, and then Al Qaeda and Osama bin Laden. Different faces. It's different faces, but the same game and the same nation of people, really, too, against America in this particular event. But now, instead of Al Qaeda, instead of the Taliban, today it is Islamic State or ISIS, still fulfilling what Christ said would be happening, which I'm gonna read for you right now. Or IZAR, I'm not sure if your microphone works, if you want to do so, because I can't hear you right now. But I'm going to get...
What scripture you want me to get at?
All praises. Matthew 24 and... Matthew 24, and you can start with verse 6 to 7.
Matthew chapter 24 and verse 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places.
So we see that as far as nation rising up against nation, this is even nation within nation that's happening with this Islamic State. They're bombing a lot of their own people is what they're doing. That's their goal because, again, the Islamic faith is a lot more hardcore and almost somewhat aligned to some of the principles. Yeah, no, it's part of the article website. You have to like some of these websites. You want to you got to get subscriptions. So it's like, dang. All right. Anyway, so yeah, Islamic State pretty much. Con. Islamic State pretty much what they're trying to do is they're trying to go back to the old school Islamic way back in, the 1400s and the 1500s when, they were conquesting and everything and they were taking over nations and making people live by the book to the code of Islam, But nowadays, Islam is more divided, no different than, the Catholic and the Christian church and all the many denominations. Islam has done the same thing, not even to mention that it's not even the true faith of the Most High. So you got schisms. And one particular schism, the two main ones be the Sunni and the Shiite, being at war with each other. And Islamic State is more so on the fundamentalist Islam, the Shiite, and they're just going at it. They've been at it against the U.S. because the U.S. did a lot of the Middle Eastern companies or countries dirty back in the in the 80s, the 60s and 70s with the Bush administration. So that's been a grudge that they have held against America in particular for some time. And then it just deals back to, their spirit and even the prophecy about Ishmaelites, that they would be, a wild man against, anyone and everybody. They wouldn't really care about the dangers of what they're doing, the danger of coming up against the world superpower, which is America, even though the Most High is not with them. That's a prophecy you can find in the scriptures about Ishmael. But it only confirms the prophecies that Christ taught us about nation rising up against nation. So that's what we have that happened earlier today, a couple hours, 10 hours ago. There was more of an issue with Islamic State in Afghanistan bombing the city called Kabul. And a lot of the times they're killing civilians, people of that nation, of that country, as well as U.S. Military officials, whether they be Edomites in the military or Jakes, Israelites. They're killing anybody wearing the flag, wearing the military camo in America. So Islamic State is a threat on that side of the world to pretty much everybody. They would be a threat to Israelites too if we were the dominating force, as they've shown in history too, because Islam and Muslims, they don't have, they really don't want 100% anything to do with the laws of the Most High, period. So they're always going to be at war with us regardless. It's just now they're mainly at war with America, because America's complete, total wickedness, And that's a prophecy too in the book of Revelations, where it says that the other nations would eventually, after so much time of being drunk with the wine of the whore of Babylon, eventually they're going to war against Babylon too, because the Most High is going to gather everybody to, I believe it says the Valley of Jehoshaphat and such like that. So that's, prophecy being fulfilled. So that's what happened again earlier today, and it's been going on recently for the past, I believe, week or two. Islamic State, strikes again. Let's go to another article real quick. This one, okay, I'm glad we can see this one from APnews.com. How did Tennessee flooding downpour fall so fast? How, you may ask? Well, we have scriptures, and all glory to the Most High to explain that for you guys. But let's get some briefing real quick. So Nashville, Tennessee, a rural Tennessee community, was pummeled Saturday with up to 17 inches of rain, or 43 centimeters. You guys know that's bigger than a foot, That's a foot of rain. In the last 24 hours, in less than 24 hours, shattering the state record for one-day rainfall by more than 3 more inches and leading to quick rushing floods that killed at least 22 people and left a trail of destruction. So y'all don't think that these floods be doing damages? Y'all think floods are just, soak city in the city? It is not. These floods are a tool and a weapon of the Most High, no different than some of the other elements that he uses. Let me read that again. That killed at least 22 people and left a trail of destruction. It says the hardest hit areas were inundated with nearly twice the amount of rain the region has seen in the previous worst case flooding scenario, meteorologists said. So there's no need to really go into the whole details of the article, but yeah, now they want to talk about climate change, but they don't accredit that to the Most High. So, testimonies of people that survived it, but that's what's going on. That's going down. Nashville, Tennessee. Earlier this week, I believe. That was this article was put out 2 days ago. So I believe that this happened. Let's see if we can get a date. Let's see if we can get a date in this article. Saturday. This happened last Saturday. So that's when this event particularly happened. And floods, floods be a big thing. Just to put a grander perspective, these floods aren't necessarily just isolated to Nashville, Tennessee, or America in general. Flooding happens a lot in the 4 corners of the earth, where the scattered Israelites happen to be dispersed at, water, or rather island countries like the Philippines, or in Southeast Asia, parts of the lower parts of Japan, Okinawa, the Pacific Islands even, even I want to say like in Madagascar and, South Africa. These floods, when you're by these coastal regions, as well as the Most High just bringing that cloud of rain to you, they are some serious damage. And let's see what the scriptures say about that in these prophecies. If we can get the book of Matthew again. Matthew 24:7. Even though we read this, we can read just the last part about earthquakes. And if not, IZAR, I can
Matthew
get
24:7 reads, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famine and pestilence, and earthquakes in diverse places."
All right, so earthquakes in diverse places. Of course, this isn't necessarily an earthquake, but an earthquake is just a tool that the Most High uses amongst many things, such as nations of people, as a weapon to execute judgment. We can get that real quick in Psalms chapter 78, and we can start from verse 47 to 49. Just an example so you guys know that the elements, when the elements are destroying parts of the world, that's the Most High orchestrating it. So
What verse you say?
Psalm 78 and verse 47 to 49.
Psalm 78, verse 47 reads, "He destroyed their vines with hail, and their sycamore trees with frost. He gave up their cattle also to the hail, and their flocks to hot thunderbolts. He cast up on the earth the fierceness of his anger, wrath, and indignation, and trouble by sending evil angels among them."
So there you have it, more proofs that the Most High is using a variety of tools, sources, and elements to execute his judgment on upon the earth. And again, 22 people record and recorded died from this flood in Tennessee. So this isn't no isolated incident. You have natural disasters happening all across Babylon and America and other parts of the world where, targeted wickedness, which is everywhere, is at a height. So these are things that, us being watchmen for the signs of the times, we take awareness of these things. We take awareness of the deaths from these natural events and natural disasters, because Yahushua said, look, I mean, earthquakes being the main one, but a lot of these things are going to keep continuing to happen. Pockets here, pockets there, a big one there, until some of the more bigger destructions that we're watching out for happen. When those seals get finished opening, and then the vials start getting poured upon the earth, the Most High said you're going to be able to calculate or observe, where you're at in the last days by taking heed to these things. So these are things that you can collect and aggregate yourself on your own. All right, so the next thing I want to get to is where we got those vaccines at. So if you guys did not know, the vaccines have become a mandatory thing for city and public workers. This one of many articles. It says LA will require city employees to get vaccinated or regularly tested for COVID-19. They leave that option there for now, but if y'all have seen some of the other things going on in some previous current events that were told, or just, on the wire, a lot of people in other countries and other nations, second and third world countries, are getting forced vaccinated regardless. The doctors come into people's houses and chasing people up onto the rooftops and, jabbing you with that vaccine. So again, we play this as, is this really something that's going to heal us, or is this, it seems like a war. This seems like doctor warfare. Los Angeles will require city employees to provide proof of vaccination against COVID-19 or undergo weekly testing to show they have tested negative. Mayor Eric Garcetti and the city council president Nuri Martinez announced Tuesday, and this was back in July actually. So it's been officially, there's an article that it's been officially initiated going on in August. So city workers, people that work for the state, it's they're enforcing it, And the crazy thing is, when you work for the city, when you work for the government and you work for the city, generally your livelihood is better off. But what do the scriptures say about a gift blinded the heart? With that being said, because you have such a decent livelihood, as an Israelite working, within the city, whether that's the DMV or CalWorks, construction, Caltrans rather, doing I don't know what would be the last one, street sweeping, such like that, because you're in those government servant offices, you are more likely to not only conform to anything that they tell you to do, but to be informed and conform to their ordinances and such like that. That's the price that you pay for that type of decent living. No different than you see with Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were within the Babylonian offices, officials and such like that. And I'll look at this article. They're asking me to purchase things, huh? No, we're good. Yeah, so those four rather, they were in the same situation, just with Nebuchadnezzar asking them, or telling them rather, to bow down to the statue of himself that he builded. It's no different, when you're in that system doing that, they expect you to do these things because of, the benefits, regardless of being their slaves and in captivity. They still expect you to do those things. But since we know that story, as Israelites that know the truth and do the truth, we're expected to be just like Daniel and going against and not bowing down to Nebuchadnezzar, not getting that vaccine and risking almost certain death by doing so, because we believe within our boundaries in the Most High God Yahweh. So as Israelites, we should be developing the strength and faith to not be phased by taking this vaccine, which they're ultimately coming down to, forcing it. They put pretty sprinkle of words of how they're doing it, but it's getting to that point to where, at least for the most part, the upper echelons of society that exists today, you have to get this, and that trickles down to the lower echelons where people are brainwashed and don't know which way is their left and their right as far as what to do. Stuff like that influences all echelons of living, from the highest to the middle to the lowest. But those of us that know, whether we be in those lower, middle, or higher echelons, we know what to do. Just like Daniel, we know what to do. We know that this vaccine, this shot, just the whole principle of it is not it's not for us. It's never been for us to do. Period. So we read in the scriptures too, about the pestilences that should be coming on earth. COVID-19 aside, which is that pestilence, getting this vaccine, this shot is a pestilence in itself. Being enacted by man. So it's the same thing. And woe unto you for believing in this government system in Babylon to think that this vaccine is going to help you or save you, especially with their known history of medical experimentations on our people and people in general. Tuskegee syphilis experiment, MK Ultra, a number of other experiments, AIDS even too. Definitely look into that. All those started off as government testing experiments to enact the will of the Most High at the end of the day. But because we have wisdom now and understanding, we should know what lanes to stay in and what lanes to avoid. The judgment that the Most High is ultimately putting on us and people in the world. So, long story short, these vaccinations, be aware. Just be aware, Israel, wherever you're at. Fight as hard as you can, even if you got to lose your job or if you got to just maneuver your way around it. Get that COVID test, every week done. You're not necessarily taking the vaccine by doing that. So that's going on in LA and in New York for sure, I know too. A lot of major metropolitan areas are enacting this same thing. Next thing I want to go to, we're going to get into some history like this. So, you guys might be wondering, meteor showers, what does that have to do with anything? Well, let me get this chart really quick right here. So, we're in a Gregorian calendar, August. We had a particular meteor shower that people around the world could see that passed already, and these things actually have been happening for some time since what things are called comets, went into the heavens within our particular heavens for over the past, couple hundred years, such like that. But the one that recently passed was the Perseids. The next one that's going to happen to see is a meteor shower called the Andromenid meteor shower. So these are phenomenons rather that have been happening within the heavens that you see in scriptures, seeing that, look, these are going to be, more signs upon you to know that, or so those with knowledge, what times that you're in. One of the biggest ones that's referenced, and we're going to get that right now, although not necessarily dealing with the meteors, is in the book of Revelations. We're going to get Revelations chapter 6 and verse 12. And if you want, I got that for you, IZAR.
I got it.
Okay.
Revelations chapter 6, verse 12. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood.
So a lot of times we have been seeing these eclipses that have happened, periodically, and the last couple years, and just throughout the decades, in general, we see these solar eclipse, and also these different these lunar eclipse where the moon appears to be turning red during certain times of the hours of the night. Those have been going on, and I believe even we even noted that this week we noticed that the moon was reddish as well. So those are phenomenon that the Most High said, look out for those, or Yahweh Shai said, look out for those things. These are how you're gonna know, among with all the other stuff, that you're in the signs of the times of these last days. Fake Christians, white Christians rather, that Esau that pretends to follow the Bible, they keep track of these things. Them being the rulers of this kingdom, no different than the Babylonian astrologers and the Egyptian astrologers. They have knowledge about these things. They see the queerness of it, that these things are happening weird, and they read. And white people of all the kingdoms and everything like that, they actually study this book and this Bible. They don't get the spirit of it, but they do study and look into this Bible and get a couple things here and there on point. And this is one of the ones that that they have kept track for themselves, because your average everyday run-of-the-mill black and Latino, unawakened, unaware, doesn't study stuff like in the stars in the heavens, astronomy. We tend to be caught up in astrology, which is worship of the heavenly bodies and all the nonsense that comes along with that. We don't study the lights and the creations in the firmament in the heavens, like how the Most High expected us to, for our feast days and such like that, and even for prophetic, sightings such as this, So again, one of those things that we notice too is these meteor showers that have been happening every so often and periodically. And I'll explain, how these things even come about too, and what's been going on with certain meteors and comets that have actually fell upon the earth within recent times, within the last 100 years, and even within the last 3 and 6 years, on certain parts of the earth. So Revelation 6 and 13, it says, continuing from that, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. So it's giving you a similitude, because we know the book of Revelations has a lot of similitudes of things that are to come to pass physically on earth, but it's saying that the stars of heaven and their hosts, they're gonna fall from their positions up there, and they're gonna start falling on earth, or they're gonna be colliding with earth. So the only thing that could be, which we see in everyday phenomenon and study of science, such like that, are these so-called meteor showers and comets. And I'm gonna get you guys a little bit of understanding on that, so you guys could just know, because you can only know that the Most High is putting these things amongst us that are not normal. You know, scientists might try to tell you, you know, these things have been happening for, you know, billions and trillions of years. But we in the truth know that the earth is not even, you know, calculated from Adam to now. It's not even that old. It's a lot more recent. So how much more could we take their wording and what they understand about, you know, astrological phenomenon, you know, to that degree? So what we do is we take the meat and we dress it. You know, we dress it properly. We don't take the dressing of what, you know, your so-called white people put on us. So if we can actually get back to the slide real quick. All right, so I want to just read you guys some brief parts from this article so you know. So meteor shower. A meteor shower is a temporary rise in the rate of meteor sightings caused by the entry into Earth's atmosphere by a number of meteoroids, you know, such as like that. So I'm going to get you some more details with that being real quick. Bum, bum. I'll do that right now. I don't know how far from the tool, but bam. Yep, there you go, IZAR. All right. What I want to read from here, unless I'm gonna just summarize real quick. All right. Well, look, I'm gonna summarize what you get because I think it's in a different article. Basically, your meteor showers that we see in this article, which astronomers predict, all these particular meteor showers that happen from January to December, the Quadranid, the Lyid, the Eta, the Capricornid, the Perseid, the Andromenid, the Draconid, the Orionid, all the way to the Geminid. These are all meteor showers, which are particles that pretty much fell off of comets that were sent into our solar system, you know, the solar system of the heavens that we have. So these comets that came into the solar system came from pretty much beyond. They weren't necessarily supposed to be there. But we know that if the Most High is going to be shaking the heavens, as it's mentioned in the book of Isaiah, you know that it's the Most High that's ultimately sending these things to us, you know, to our to Earth and to our heavens, you know, or the solar system. So these meteor showers are left off remnants of comets that just so happen to pass by in, you know, in our heavens, you know, in our solar system. Now the thing is about these things, even though astronomers can predict when these comet shards, these meteorite showers happen each year, it's not necessarily the same thing. You know, what you see in, you know, what's coming up in October, what you see coming up in October's meteor shower isn't going to be necessarily the same thing that you've seen in last October's meteor shower. These things are not moving in the same you know, rotation as the Earth. They're constantly shifting, which means that they're more prominent and at will of any time. They can be hitting the Earth's atmosphere at a higher rate or a lower rate, you know? So these meteor showers are not controlled pretty much. They're not controlled by our earthly understanding. They are controlled by the Most High, but it's not something to where it's like, oh, it's a glass window, I'm protected. That's not the case with these different meteor showers. They could come upon the Earth at any point. And I'm going to get some history with that really quick, too, right here. This article comes from Live Science, and it's called When Space Attacks, the 6 Craziest Meteor Impacts. So one of the first ones we want to see, I'm going to read to you, rather, is this one called the Peekskill Fireball. So I'm going to read it so. On October 9th, 1992, a giant fireball came crashing through the evening sky up the East Coast. So this is the East Coast of America. First visible in West Virginia, the shards traveled northeast as they fell. It eventually impacted the ground in Peekskill, New York, giving the meteorite its name. So the meteor was named after the city that it touched down upon. One fragment wrecked a car. Man. Because of the shallow angle at which it fell relative to the earth, it burned through the atmosphere at a slant. Or for a full 30 seconds, the Peekskill meteorite was seen by thousands of people and captured on video from at least 16 different perspectives. The footage has been used by scientists to study the trajectories of meteors in the atmosphere. So that's one example, back in the 90s, of a meteor, one of these same meteors from one of these various meteor showers that astronomers have, supposedly tamed, and we know when they're happening. One of those very same meteors actually impacted the Earth back in the 90s, in America. And that's just one case. So imagine who knows what's going to happen later. Another example, the Caracas impact. And this one's a bad one, too. On September 15th, 2007, a meteorite impacted Earth near the village of Caracas, Peru, creating a 50-foot wide crater. When local officials went to investigate, they saw boiling water bubbling at the bottom of the hole. Sickeningly foul-smelling, noxious gases rose out of it, striking the investigators ill on the spot. So hopefully everybody's reading comprehension or my enunciation makes sense, but let me draw just 2 points. This meteor from the heavens landed on Earth. 50-foot impact, big impact. We know people are not 50 feet tall. That's your so-called imaginary, Nephilim, which is a false doctrine. That's about their size, in imagination land. People are generally 5 to 6 feet tall. So 5 to 6 feet times 10. That's the size and the circumference and the radius of this meteor impact. That's big. That's bigger than a car. That's bigger than a school bus. And what happened with it, too, it said that the stench that it left over from the impact of the ground was so bad that the scientists that went to investigate it, they got sick on the spot. So this extraterrestrial rock was able to make these scientists sick. And I'm going to get a prophecy that lines up with that right now later, too. But I want to read more about how dangerous these things are. From the littlest to a big one like this. In the days after the impact, about 200 villagers, and again, these are Israelites, for the most part, dwelling in Peru, so-called Native Americans. 200 villagers came down with a mysterious illness, suffering nausea, headaches, and vomiting. Later tests of the impact site by scientists at Peru's Mining, Metallurgy, and Geological Institute showed that the locals had likely suffered mild arsenic poisoning. The meteorite unleashed gaseous arsenic when its hot surface met an underground water supply tainted with the poisonous element, the scientists said. Let me get a prophecy really quick that is soon to come, and something that we should be, as we do these current events, watching out for. So now that we know that meteor showers aren't just pretty things that happen in the sky, they do actually come upon the earth, past the firmament. These things are a beautiful danger as well for the wicked, for the wicked for sure. If we can get the book of Revelations 8 and verse 10 through 11. Touching upon, again, these stars that are falling from heaven that we read about in prophecy. And I'm going to get the last one with another meteor shower impact that was just as bad as the one we just read.
Hey, do you want me to get a scripture, or are you going to get that?
I would like you to get it, Izar. Revelations 8:10-11.
Okay. Revelation chapter 8 and verse 10. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, and burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers, and up on the fountains of waters. And the name of the star is called Wormwood, and the third part of the water became wormwood. And many men died of the waters, because they were made bitter.
So this isn't, I would say, a prophecy that has completely came to pass, because this one is dealing with a third of Earth's total, water supply being useless, But we still see the same effects of when these stars from heaven fall upon earth, what they do. It says it makes the waters bitter. It says it kills people. It makes people sick. Very similar to this meteor event that happened in 2007 in Peru, the Carnacas impact. It made the scientists sick on spot. It made the villagers, over 200 of them, sick with nausea, vomiting, and whatever else have you. So these meteors are not anything safe that happens upon the earth. People have the potential to die from these things, and as prophecy goes, those are going to get a lot worse than what has already recently happened. But I want to get the last one in this article. If we can switch back to the PC. The last one, which is in Russia, a city in Russia called Tunguska, the Tunguska explosion. If you want to switch back to the computer PC. So I'm going to read this, and it says, Tunguska explosion. The biggest and most mysterious impact event in recorded history took place above the Podekimnaya Tunguska River in Russia on the morning of June 30th, 1908. So well over 100 years ago. The Tunguska explosion, which was 1,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb. And I'm going to read that again. 1,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped by the United States on Hiroshima during World War II is believed to have been caused by the collision of a large meteoroid or comet. And again, meteoroids are basically shavings of a comet with the atmosphere 3 to 6 miles above Earth's surface. The shock wave from the explosion knocked over an estimated 80 million trees, covering 830 square miles of land below it, and knocked people off their feet hundreds of miles away. For several months following the Tunguska event, the Smithsonian Astrophysical Observatory in the U.S. observed a decrease in atmospheric transparency because of suspended dust from the explosion. The scale of the Tunguska event sparked many people's imaginations. Some have hypothesized that it was caused by a crash of an alien spacecraft. Others say it happened when a black hole passed the Earth, yada, yada. But, we know the real facts is that it was a meteor. It was a star from heaven that fell. And that one happened to land in a lake, and this is in Russia. But this was over 100 years ago. And this was a really big one that didn't necessarily make land contact, but it fell into a lake. But it's said that people from hundreds of miles away, because of its impact with the atmosphere, the lower part of the atmosphere, they were lifted pretty much, off the floor in their seats and stuff like that. And it was so loud coming across the sky. But those are just 3 examples of past meteor impacts within the Earth. And again, the current event is that we're expecting a meteor shower coming up this October. It's called the Andromenoids. They name them after constellations, Andromeda. But that's happening in this October. So it's something that you want to be mindful about, because if these meteoroids are coming this close to the Earth, who knows what, who knows what, the Most High can allow them to do at that moment in time. So, and a lot of times people say, oh, let's watch the meteor shower. It's a show. I mean, it's not a show in these times and days and such like that. It's a dangerous thing. A lot of calamity could happen from those things. And those are the smaller parts of it. Again, meteors are classified by science to be the small parts. If a comet were to hit the Earth, which these meteors come from, I mean, prophecy would be fulfilled, which is gonna happen regardless, actually. So we keep mindful and watch of these things, because again, these astronomers, they watch out for these things. They be posting articles, every so often. A comet is coming close by to the Earth. So again, your so-called white people, the astronomers, the astrologers of the day, they study and they've read the Bible and they study the stars and stuff like that. No different than the Egyptian magicians and the Babylonian magicians. It's no different, But it's up to us now to pay attention, as the Most High has allowed us to see through His prophecies as well. So with that, I want to say that's pretty much as far as current events that we got this week. These are the things that I've kind of peeked and gathered. So hopefully with some background on these things, both in the scriptures and dealing within the world, you guys have some understanding of how to become better watchmen for yourselves. But we, again, will continue to keep on the lookout for the signs and the times of the ages according to the scriptures as well, too. So with that, I want to say with the current events, we're going to cut it short with that, and I want to say shalom.